All right, and 3, 2, 1. Hello, YouTube. This is Cody with Search My Deck TCG. Here we are bringing you another card preview. I was actually trying to think about doing some Rebel Clash stuff, even though Rebel Clash is coming out. I haven't previewed as much cards. However, then we got a couple days ago we had the first cards from Eruption Walker. So I'm like, oh, I'll hit one of those. I'm gonna ignore. There will not be a Guardy V video. Sorry. I think the card's bad, even though I covered a bad card with Poltergeist before, but I just don't feel like doing that. Covering another bad psychic card. But we're gonna be looking at the Centiskorch. I think the better of the card, better of the two. So we'll touch the V really quick, because it is kind of relevant. So it does 20 damage, and you may, for one fire, and you may discard an energy from this Pokemon. If you do, discard your opponent's active energy. That's really relevant, especially if we don't know what the meta is going to be like. So with no tournaments until September probably, with a whole new set and possibly rotation, it's really hard to predict. So these videos may age poorly, but if we assume that ADP is still going to be good, which I think it still will be, this is pretty good. You're able to just whatever you get an attack before they can alter creation, unless they turn 1 alter creation, which is still kind of hard to do. So generally, ADP decks go for a turn 2 alter creation, and you are able to slow it down if they have their ADP in the active. You can just, you're discarding your own energy, but you're still able to do damage. You're still, you have welders, so you don't mind discarding your own energy as much as they would. So I think generally in general, I think it's a, since you are a welder deck, I think discarding your energy and discarding your opponents is a good trade. So not just in the ADP matchup, just in any matchup, go in second. You're able to, you can just do your manual on the Centiskorch, and then you can welder on another one or something else. You can do it all. You only have to discard 1 energy, so you can still, welder your 2 and put your manual and discard 1. You still have 2 energy on you, and they, now you just discarded their manual for the turn. So the other attack, 180 for 4, whatever, it's fine, but I don't think you're really ever going to be, you will be using it in pinch in certain scenarios, probably. But generally, it's not that great. It's actually, it is fine, but it's not what you want. It's not good enough to be played on its own without its VMAX, I do not think, but it is good. I think that first attack is very relevant and very helpful. So then, obviously, the VMAX itself, he's got his cool little antler tentacle things. I'm sure there's a name for him, but I'm blanking. I like Centiskorch. I think this looks really cool. It doesn't even look like a bug here. It looks kind of like a Chinese dragon. I think that was kind of the point of his design. But anyway, for 2 colorless, which is interesting, even though it needs to be fire, it's 40 base for 40 more for every fire attached to it. And that alone is decent. But then you have the extra effect. At the end of the turn, after damage has been placed, you may attach 1 fire from your discard pile to this Pokemon. And that single effect is really good. You get a plus 40 damage to your next attack. I think that's super solid, and it makes this card even better. So if we just look at base, you may be thinking, that damage still is not high enough. For let's say you're doing a single welder plus a manual, if you're able to get all 3, which you generally can in fire decks, you are looking at 160 damage. And I think that's fine. 160 is fine, because then now next turn you're doing 200 for sure, with no extra, just getting some of your discard pile to Centiskorch. You're doing 200, and then you can either welder. You can add another 120 with welder and manual to do 320, and that's pretty good. Or you can do whatever you hit 160 for before, assuming you're still alive. You can finish off with that 200 while you're weldering another one. And I think that's we're going on Centiskorch. I think It is super solid. The other thing that is good here, that is I think relevant, even though it's minor, it's the fact it attacks for 2 energy. 2 colors doesn't really matter, but the fact it can attack for 2 energy, if you're not the 3, I think that is huge, because yeah, fire decks can generally get their 3, but not always. So just the fact you can still hit 120 for 2, 120 for 2 is not bad. It's not a little underwhelming on VMAX, but it's that versatility that, oh, I whiffed my energy, I'm not whiffing damage, I'm still getting some chip damage in. And I think that is super relevant. And then, what can we do with this card? That's what the card does, but what can we do with it? Well, it's a fire deck. I'm sorry, there's nothing too exciting up here. You have your welders, your giant hearths. I didn't even pull it up, giant hearth. I mean, at this point, I think everyone knows what a fire deck does. The fire support is stupid. Got your giant hearth, get your 2 fires out. Got your welder to attach your 2 fires. Still good stuff. The other thing that I put in here, just because I don't know, I would not put Macargo in this deck, but you could. It is something you could put a light, like a 2/2 Macargo line with some Orangaroos to try to get extra acceleration. But I think the welder manual engine is fine. I don't think you need this, but you could, depending on what space looks like. It is an option to consider for sure. Then your other fire support, your Victini Prisms, maybe a Reshazard, your Turtonators. Like there's a lot of good support. You're not playing. I don't think you're playing Ninetales anymore. I don't know, because you have Boss's Orders, but you still might play Ninetales though, because the ability is still really good and does get fire in your discard pile, which you actually do kind of want for this deck. So I could definitely see a 2/2 Ninetales line still being played, which you wouldn't play Macargo if that's the case, but possibly see a Ninetales line and some Boss's Order, because it is a welder deck, so you don't really want to waste your supporter on a Boss's Orders if you can help it. So that's probably how kind of the base pieces you would put in the deck. But then there's one thing that I think helps it a little, possibly here, is Heat Fire Energy. It is a fire energy when it's attached to a Pokemon, and it gives them 20 more hit points. So this card is, it's good. Obviously, it is good. 20 more hit points puts you at 340. That's pretty good. 340 is pretty hard to kill. 220 is already hard to kill, but that's nice. However, the downside is these aren't. You can't use them with welder. You can't use them with welder. You can't use them with Fire Crystal. You can't use them with Giant Hearth. You can't use them with Fire Flint. So any of your normal tools do not interact with this card, because it's only a fire when it's attached. So I don't know if it would play. The effect is really good, but since it's not searchable by any of your normal means and it's not welderable, it can still be used for your manual for turn. But it just feels like it could get in the way, because let's say, I have one normal fire and one heat fire in my hand. Well, now I can't welder my normal 2. I can only welder the 1, and then manual. So maybe a 1 of a 2 of, but definitely not a 4 of for sure. I don't think. But it's something that could be possibly. It's interesting card for sure. I get that I don't know. I guess they can't be welderable, that they wanted to do that, but I don't know. I think that effect is gonna hurt it, and we'll see. But it's no speed lightning, but it's a card that could be relevant for sure. So that is Centiskorch. Kind of my thoughts on it. It's a fire deck. There's really not as much to say about a fire deck, but I think it is a fire deck that could be interesting, just because the low cost, the ability to power itself up, making for pretty relevant 2 shots while you're able to work on another attacker. So I think it's interesting. I definitely would put it at the moment in the testable side. Something that I don't know if it's not saying, oh my goodness, this is the card, buy all your Sword and Shield 3 now, because it's no, but it's definitely a card I could see played, and I might myself play with it. We will see what else we get in this set. But that's it for now.